Today we're gonna make a simpler and slightly lower calorie version of butter chicken that is perfect for a weeknight. And additionally, I'm gonna prep mine ahead of time so I can make some snack wraps later on. So, let's cook. Okay, so buttered chicken for me is one of those recipes. It is well worth it to pull every ingredient out ahead of time because if you're kind of searching around for things, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. So I've pulled out pretty much everything I need right here. Then for cooking the chicken itself, I'm gonna actually use the broiler, so that's what I just turned on. And really there's kind of just a few basic steps to making butter chicken. First, you have to marinate the chicken and sear it. Then secondly, you need to make your sauce. Then you need to combine the two. And that's really all there is to it. But there kind of are just a variety of ingredients that you do need for this recipe, but one of the most delicious ones. So I'm going to pull all this stuff off for the side for now. And then get my knife. Okay, someone put it away where I did not expect it to be. So, very simply, we have our chicken breast here. And then, as always, going to thin it out just to help it cook a little bit more evenly. Kind of cut into the thicker portion of the breast and then peel it back. Okay. Then for the marinade itself, where's my salt? Keeping this super simple. So a little sprinkle of salt. And then that'll mix in a second. We're gonna do yogurt. So this is, I like using Siggi's kind of whole plain milk yogurt for this. A little bit higher protein. So I'm gonna put on a dollop of that. And then we'll kind of just mix all this together. And then for me, I like to keep the little marinade on this really simple. So I'm just gonna use some Kashmiri chili pepper, which is noticeably more spicy than something like cayenne. So either be careful of how much you're using, or if you're using cayenne, you can use a little bit more. But I'm kind of just going for a sprinkle here. I like mine a little bit on the spicier side. Then additionally, this is some garam masala, mix of several different spices. That is a very common ingredient in a variety of Indian dishes. So just mixing all this together, and then we're just gonna pop this whole thing underneath the broiler to cook it, and it should cook pretty quickly. And you could add any spices to this you wanted to. Turmeric, really anything. I'm gonna add a little bit more chili pepper just for a little extra color. And because I like it spicy. And then yeah, just like that. Easy weeknight marinade version, done. We will remember to check on it this time too. I don't want to burn it. Okay, so step number 2 is to prep all of our aromatics. So typically this is garlic and ginger, can be an onion. I'm gonna use a shallot in this case. Sometimes you don't need to use an onion. And then for a little bit of spice, I'm gonna use a jalapeno, serrano, or like Thai chilies. Any kind of spice works well for that category. Or you can obviously leave it out depending on your preferences. And then for me, I'm gonna try to make it a little bit easier and actually, we're just gonna toss everything in this like mini food processor to kind of chop everything up. Okay, so start with our garlic. Fling our garlic across the cutting board, I guess. So, garlic in there. Oh, I gotta grab that other clove. Just very roughly removing this garlic skin here. It's all gonna get blended anyway, so not a big deal. You could also just, I mean, if you want to leave it on, it's not really gonna hurt it. Just get maybe some of those tougher bits of the skin off. And then I'm just gonna rough chop it. That is in there. I'm just gonna go seeds and all on our jalapeno. And then for the shallot, just kind of remove the papery skin. All right, let me grab my garlic that went flying. All right. All right, last piece of garlic. Let me get that little root off there. Oh, did I break it? All right, I don't think this is gonna reach, but love the smell of fresh aromatics like this. Ooh, little. Could feel it in the eyes. All right, perfect. But good use case of something like this where, you know, if you're gonna like chop everything up pretty fine anyway, yes, you can totally do so with a knife. If you wanna use some mechanical power to make it easier on you, you know, always a welcome addition. All right. Then now we're gonna saute these aromatics in some butter. I'll let you know, this is actually just all the butter I have left, so this is one of the reasons. Now, true butter chicken will use a good bit of butter, as it is in the name. We're gonna do a little bit less. It also uses a lot of heavy cream. We're gonna use like a little bit of heavy cream with some yogurt. All right, so that is 64 grams, so that is 4 tablespoons of butter right there. And that's gonna be all the butter that I'm using for, you know, about a little bit over a pound of chicken breast. And then, like I said, going in with all of our aromatics. And really just gonna let all that sweat down. Okay, meanwhile, we get a quick check on our chicken. All right, nice, looking good. So as you can see, because we have the broiler on, we're getting like those more crispy bits of chicken. which is kind of exactly what we're looking for. So when you've hit this stage, just give it a flip over, and then we're going to cook the other side, and then we'll be able to chop it up and add it to our sauce. All right. I'm going to clean up the workspace a little bit. So we have the aromatics going. Next, I'm going to bloom these spices into this oil. Oh, I forgot to add the little lemon juice. I was going to add lemon juice to that marinade. Oh, well. No big deal. Okay, so for a little spice mix here, we're gonna go with, and this is for like a little bit over a pound of chicken and like a full can of tomatoes. We do 4 grams of garam masala. Oh, this turmeric's not even open. Always be super careful with turmeric as it can stain, but gives it that nice yellow color. I'm gonna do 3 grams of the turmeric, probably just a gram of this chili powder. Again, don't want it to be too spicy. And then a little bit of fenugreek seed. You can use fenugreek leaves too. A lot of recipes will say that like you don't need to include fenugreek. It is a little bit of a harder one to find. For me, this is one of the spices that I think is worth including if you can. Obviously, you're gonna be able to make something delicious if you use any spice mix, but I think it is worth getting the fenugreek seed. A lot of recipes will say that, you know, you don't actually need to include it, which you don't, but. Oh, and then I also have a little bit of cumin that I actually ground up the other day. I'm gonna toss in, so we'll just do a little 2-gram piece of that. And then beautiful spice mix right here. We'll just toss it right in with our aromatics. And then why we're doing this with kind of adding the aromatics to the fat at this stage is a lot of aroma molecules are fat soluble. So this fat is going to dissolve those aroma molecules and then keep them inside of the fat. So that's why one of the reasons why blooming spices is something that is frequently done in Indian cuisine. However, another thing that we will be doing is adding some at the end of cooking because that's very important too. Let me check back on my chicken. Yeah, I think we're toasty enough. Ooh. Just gonna let that cool down there, turn off the oven, and we'll finish everything up here. And the easiest way to like make super creamy butter chicken is to just blend it up. A lot of people will like use strainers and things of that nature, which absolutely work too. But just tossing everything in a blender is really nice. And instead of adding the tomatoes first, I'm just gonna blend everything in here. So we're gonna go tomatoes. And this is 1 full can of like whole peeled tomatoes. Any tomato, crushed, whatever will work. I mean, there's so many other spices in this dish that, any tomato you use will work great. But some tomatoes can be a little bit more acidic than others, kind of as we learned in my tomato can deep dive. So I do recommend trying to find some that have like a thicker kind of tomato puree if you can. All right, so we'll come in here, grab our Grab our aromatics. And our spices. We'll wash this. Gonna add a little bit of peanut butter. So a lot of butter chicken recipes, you may see like little cashews or some kind of paste. A little peanut butter will just give it a little bit of that texture difference and just a little bit of nuttiness. That's just about 15 grams there. Then we just blend this up. Literally smells so good. So blended it up, super smooth now. Now we toss it in and simmer it. And then we're gonna also get our chicken out as well. Put the blender away. Whoa, already bubbling. I'm just gonna toss this back here. Grab our chicken out. We got our browning, and then I didn't even actually check to see if this is cooked through. If it's not, man, we're splattering everywhere. If we're not, it's obviously gonna get cooked once it's in here. Ooh, that's hot. But yeah, it's all the way cooked through. So loose chunks, and then just in cross. I mean, you could do any size you want, obviously. But I think quarters like that are kind of nice. And then the reason we do all this is we get some of that browning, we get some texture on the chicken, and then obviously it can kind of stew down in our sauce. Buttered chicken. And then I got to clean these splatters. Ooh. So I'm going to keep out the garam masala. We will be using that again. Man, I cannot get this thing to stop splattering right now. Okay. So basically, I'm just gonna let this simmer for a few extra minutes, but to serve this straight up, what you would do is this is where you add your heavy whipping cream. And I'll say, like most recipes will add probably like a full cup of heavy whipping cream. It is quite a lot, but kind of what I like doing for a home cooked version is this is what I'm gonna freeze and actually just put into containers, or I'm gonna just put some in the fridge. And then when I reheat it, this is when I'll kind of drizzle over a little bit of heavy whipping cream. You could also add more butter at this stage if you wanted to kind of make it more, you know, a little bit more luscious, but I don't know, if you're in a restaurant, they're gonna really overdo it, but at home, like, I don't wanna throw a ton of butter and heavy cream into this thing. Like, this already tastes really good as it is. Again, it's a little bit more brighter and acidic right now because I haven't added any butter or heavy whipping cream or like a bunch of extra. But for me, that's kind of why I like to add it at the end. Another thing you could substitute in here is a little bit of yogurt. And I actually am gonna add just a little bit of dollop, just so we get a little bit more creaminess. But obviously, you can make your butter chicken however you want to. The butter chicken, if you add yogurt or heavy whipping cream, it also kind of lightens the color up a little bit, which makes it really nice. And then to serve it a lot of times in like a restaurant, they'll kind of drizzle over a little bit of cream, which visually looks really, really nice too. Okay, and like I said, I'm gonna let this just simmer down for a few more minutes. I'm gonna cut the video here, and then after this simmers, I'm just gonna fill these up, these containers up, kind of ready to go for me to use throughout the week. I'm gonna pop a couple in the fridge, couple in the freezer, and then I'm actually gonna make a snack wrap for myself later this evening. Okay, so that was about 8 minutes of simmering. And then now I'm just gonna do kind of 4 equal sized portions here. And we should get probably a few 100 grams each. We'll start with, yeah, I'll call it 250 for that one. $200, $224, $250. All right. There's 250, and then this one might be a little bit smaller. Yeah. And more liquid than chicken, I guess. Okay, so if I did those evenly, they'd be, this one's 211, the others are 250. So if I did them evenly, maybe around 230, 240 grams per serving. But now this is really nice because you could freeze these, they'll reheat really well, or I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna pop 3 of these in the fridge and then I'll put 1 in the freezer. I'll probably eat all of them this week. Okay, so it is the next day now, and I actually calculated the macros kind of on these base sauce. So per serving here is roughly 390 calories and around 40 grams of protein. So really, really quite good. And this alone will taste very, very good. But here is where you do have a decision to make. So classically, kind of restaurant style, they're gonna add some heavy cream to this. How much you wanna add is completely up to you. You know, 15 milliliters, 50 calories. So it is a good bit of calories. This is where a lot of the calories in butter chicken comes from. Alternatively, you could use some more, whole milk yogurt, 170 calories, 18 grams of protein per serving. You're not going to use that much, but this would be like a little bit of a higher protein version. And then I've got a couple of tricks for how to actually heat this up. So, and I think you can easily get, I'd say, like 2 snack wraps out of this. So to heat this up, I'm just going to heat it up plain first. And then for heating this up, I am going to sprinkle in a little bit more garam masala and a little bit more fenugreek just to get those fresh aromas back. There's different levels to kind of aroma, and when you add them fresh, it is really nice compared to when they have sat kind of in a long stew over time. Just kind of brightens them up a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of garam masala, a little bit of fenugreek to this once it's heated up. Then additionally, I just have some quickly chopped red onion. I've got some cilantro. And then that's going to be used for our wrap. And then these wraps, people always ask. So yeah, they're these lavash breads, and this is just 60 calories per sheet. They do have larger ones that I think are like 120 calories, which you can make like a bigger wrap, which I've used on the channel before. But in total, I mean, these are going to be a nice little snack wrap to have. Again, we're going to cut that in half, so probably around 270 to 300 calories per snack wrap, which is pretty solid. Okay, so got this heated up. Little cool. Okay, so like I said, little sprinkle of the fenugreek, and then a sprinkle of the fresh garam. Give it a taste. And yeah, I mean, it really is, it is good just here. Personally today, I'm going to just go for a little bit of whole milk yogurt, and I'll let you guys know exactly how much I'm adding here. Start with that. Yeah, 20 grams. I mean, it's not many calories at all. I'm just going to stir that in. A little bit of creaminess, and obviously this is more tangy. It's not a one-to-one substitute, but an example of one of those things where this is going to taste amazing, adds a little bit of that creaminess factor back in. Beautiful. Okay. And then, so yeah, we're going to do about half of this. Don't want to get it too liquidy here. Okay. A little bit of sprinkle of that fresh red onion. A little pungent bite. A sprig of cilantro. Get another little piece of chicken in there too. And then we're going to do a little baby drizzle of heavy cream. Probably only 3 grams or so. And right there, I mean, I've got to dive into this thing. Like, I kind of lost the cilantro piece, but I'm gonna make a bunch more of these, I think. This is kind of a pre-workout snack for me. Way better than like a protein bar or protein shake. A little bit higher calorie, but way, way more enjoyable. Let's dive in. This is unreal good. And when you consider that, you know, this is probably like right around the same calories as like some of those meal bars and stuff, like not all protein bars are super high calorie, but I mean, for me, like if you can bust these out of the fridge and whip up a butter chicken snack wrap, you know, pre or post workout, like I don't think the day gets much better than that. So as you can see, a lot of different ways you can take this. If you want to go more restaurant style, you can serve it over rice, add that heavy cream in. You want a lower calorie option, go for some, you know, plain yogurt. Do it in a wrap, do it over rice, do it over naan. You're gonna have something delicious. Anyway, but the recipe will be up on the website if you guys want to follow it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I know I did, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace, y'all.